Ainz read the last of the documents in the binder he was flipping through, turned back to the top page, and stamped the corner with his personal seal. After a moment's hesitation, he followed that with a stamp of approval. With that, the contents of the binder, a solution to what Ainz considered to be a political concern of the highest order, were now ready for Albedo to staff and put into action. Lumiel was waiting at his side, and he handed her the binder. This completed his work for the day. Ainz looked at the clock. The hand showed 10:30. Ainz began work each day at 10 exactly. He had been working for only 30 minutes, but this was typical these days. From the get-go, his duties usually occupied him only until noon. Now, they took even less time. When he'd been working in the trenches as Satoru Suzuki, he'd never dreamed of starting work this late in the day, barring outright tardiness. But that was Satoru's idea of normal. Employees at the megacorps might well find themselves starting far later in the day. According to Ulbert, having regulated hours at all was a luxury. People in this world, villagers like Enri and Inferia, rose with the sun and worked until it slipped back under the horizon. The average city dweller was much the same, but rose a little later and stayed up a while after dark. Having a source of light made all the difference. But the nobility, with their many magic lamps, often stayed up very late and slept in to compensate. The 10 o'clock start time was hardly the Nazarick standard. Nazarick was the sweatshop to end all sweatshops. Take the regular housemaids. They were split into morning and evening shifts, working long hours as a matter of course. Kokaitis' minions guarding the 9th floor were much the same. Their downtime was poorly defined, as there weren't any regular breaks at all. No snack time, no cigarette breaks. Yet, most of the staff had no complaints about this treatment. Hoping to cultivate a positive work environment, Ainz had discussed the matter with the regular maids. The result had convinced them they were all off their rockers. Or perhaps, put more diplomatically, they were a very dedicated bunch. When they mentioned with absolute seriousness that there were items preventing fatigue that would let them work indefinitely, Ainz had felt a chill run down his spine. When asked if they had any complaints, the few who did asked to be allowed to work more. Since then, he'd enacted some reforms. Maybe he was simply forcing his values on everyone. But he felt duty-bound to take employee welfare seriously, and his reforms started with the regular maids. They were extremely low-level to begin with. It helped that they all looked like beautiful young women. He didn't wish to show favoritism, but couldn't help being softer on them than, say, Kokaitis. If Ainz gave an order, almost everyone in Nazarick would obey it. But careless commands could dampen their motivation. So, he had to sell them on it. This was his pitch. Someday, the regular maids might find themselves in charge of human workers, and basing their orders on their own routines could result in their overworking those humans, which was bad. They had reluctantly agreed to reduce their working hours and increase their free time. Before, they had been given a single day off after 41 days of labor. He doubled that. They now had 2 days off. Ainz felt like this was not a significant change, but changing too much too quickly would be pushing his luck. He'd taken the hint and been forced to compromise here. His goal was a full-fledged vacation system, pay time off, summer breaks, holidays, the works. He was a long way from making it happen. Why was he pushing to implement these reforms, despite NPC opposition? Satoru Suzuki had never once received such benefits, and perhaps he'd always had a yearning for them. Currently, he was trying a different tactic. Ainz himself was not working much. He had hoped that seeing Nazarick's head honcho slacking off would cause a sea of change in the mindset of those beneath him, convince them they were allowed to work less. Naturally, half his motivation stemmed from his conviction that the more active a role a man of his mediocre talents played, the worse things would go for Nazarick. But this tactic seemed doomed to failure. Nazarick's denizens had changed their mindset.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.